Concept of the show and about our gallery. Um, we started a gallery in room 612 a year ago, and Lori still here? Okay, Lori Adams is Greeting People Downstairs was our first show. She's a counselor here and also an artist. And normally that room is a conference room, but now it's also a conference room and a gallery. So this is the second show. And when I originally was proposing to do a show, I thought I would do something in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month because we had a large celebration for Hispanic Heritage Month last year. But I was informed that we weren't going to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month this year because this year everything would be multicultural all year. So I decided to take another direction and still to concentrate on our hemisphere, because that's the home I love the best, but to really show all the diverse cultures that exist throughout the hemisphere, because really all the continents of the earth have come here and live together here. And one place where I lived for 2 years is located in South America, which is basically a continent of Spanish culture. But this was a Dutch-speaking nation where many cultures were represented. About a third of the people were descendants of Indians from Asia. There were native Indian peoples. There were peoples from Indonesia. There were people from China. And the population was probably about the size of Rochester in a pretty large area, but it was very, very diverse. And I first went to Suriname after I'd been traveling in South America. And I got there just a little after the coup happened in Chile in 1973 when Allende had been killed. And one of the first events I went to was a cultural evening where some poets were honoring Neruda, who had just died. And one Surinamese poet who read beautifully in Spanish was reading Neruda's poetry in Spanish and in Dutch. His name was Dobru. Well, about 6 years later, Suriname had a coup. And during that period after their military coup, Dobru became ill. And he went to get some medical help in Cuba. But the United States started pressuring the Surinamese government not to have too many ties with Cuba, and all the Surinamese people that were living in Cuba came back. And when Dobru went back to Suriname, he died. One of the poems that I like the best that he wrote talks about the mixture of cultures that existed in Suriname and how there were so many kinds of people, but together they made one people or one nation. And so I'm using that to kind of symbolize our whole hemisphere. I grew up in Colorado, and when I traveled in South America, when I was in the mountains in South America, it really felt like the same land to me. That whole stream from the Rocky Mountains down through the Andes, to me, feels like just one big connected piece. So, I really did feel home. So I'm going to read it to you first in the Surinamese language, which is sort of a patois language, and then in English, and then I'll read it to you in Spanish. It's very short. It's called One. Only in Surinamese that's spelled W-A-N, one. One bone, so many wiwiri, one bone. One liba, so many kriki, ala ego na one se. One ede, so many praxere, praxere pe one bone mudu. One gadu, so many fasifuan begi, ma one papa. One sranan, so many wiwiri, so many skin, so many tongo, one people. In English, one tree, so many leaves, one tree. One river, so many creeks, all of them go to one sea. One head, so many thoughts, thoughts a good man must have. One God, so many ways to praise him, but one Father. One Suriname, so many leaves, so many bodies, so many tongues, one people. And in Spanish, un árbol, tantas hojas, un árbol. Un río, tantos arroyos, todos ellos van a un mar. una cabeza, tantos pensamientos, pensamientos que un hombre bueno debe tener. Un Dios, tantas maneras de alabarlo, no obstante un Padre. Un Surinam, tantos cuerpos, tantas lenguas, un pueblo. Okay.
Yep. Okay. There's somebody for you. Hi. Oh, okay. Well, good evening. Glad to see you all out here. I'm glad that Leslie invited me back to EOC. I've been here several times to take part in different affairs, and it's always a pleasure. In fact, it's always a pleasure for me to be on any stage because I love to be on the stage. And so Leslie asked me to come and take part in this event with the opening of her show there, of her photographs, and so I thought I would start out with something that had to do with Pablo Neruda, who was a Latin American poet from Chile. I've read his poems a lot of times, and so after reading Pablo Neruda, the telephone became a radio. Shortwave, long distance, Spanish accents, lyrical music, human, riveting, lifting the mundane into the extraordinary, with things like the poet's obligation, ocean, water, the sea, planet, naked, bird, serenade, to wash a child, birth, to the dead poor man, for everyone, spring, the night in Isla Negra, to sadness, the people, fully empowered. This one's called The Poet's Obligation. To whoever is not listening to the sea this Friday morning, to whoever is cooped up in house or office, factory, or woman, or street or mine or dry prison cell, to him I come. And without speaking or looking, I arrive and open the door of his prison, and a vibration starts up, vague and insistent. A long rumble of thunder adds itself to the weight of the planet, and the foam of groaning rivers of the ocean rise. The star vibrates quickly in its corona, and the sea beats, dies, and goes on beating. So drawn on by my destiny, I ceaselessly must listen to and keep the seas lamenting in my consciousness. I must feel the crash of the hard water and gather it in a perpetual cup, so that wherever those in prison may be, wherever they suffer the sentence of the autumn, I may be present with an errant wave. I may move in and out of the windows, and hearing me, eyes may lift themselves, asking, how can I reach the sea? And I will pass to them, saying nothing. The starry echoes of the wave, a breaking up of foam and quicksand, a rustling of salt withdrawing itself, the gray cry of seabirds on the coast. So, through me, freedom and the sea will call and answer to the shrouded heart. Now we get back to this part of the country. When I went on a trip on the Amtrak train. I think it was about a year and a half ago, and it was about this time of year. And I was looking out the train window, and I decided to write a poem, and